What up? I'm just gonna make a quick video about drum swing and how to get your drums feeling a little bit more human. It's pretty easy for them to sound like a computer beat when you're just dragging and dropping one-shot samples, and so there's a few little things you can do to sort of get the entire song swinging a little bit more and having a more unique groove than just everything hitting right on the beat. Right here we have a super simple beat: kick on the 1 and the 3, snare on the 2 and 4. These are 8th note hi-hats and these are 16th note hi-hats. The way that I count that is just 1 E and 2 E and so on. That just helps me to verbalize like where these hits are going. So on the 16th note hi-hats, let's just start out. A super common one is to put them late. Here, let's hear this beat first. That's with everything right on beat. So yeah, you've heard that one before. That shows up in a lot of songs, but there's a lot you can do to sort of make that have a better feel to it. So let's start out. Let's just put these 16th notes a little bit late and see what we get. Oh, by the way, if you click any sample in the song and press Shift C, it'll highlight every sample inside of the track that's the same. So that's like ridiculously useful, especially for doing little stuff like this where I know I want every 16th note late. Click it, Shift C, it highlights all of them, and then if I hold Shift and use my scroll wheel, I can do these little micro bumps. And so that's pretty much the best way to get experimenting with a swing pattern. So here's the late 16th note again. Pretty cool. That's already got a good feel to it. Next thing I'm going to do, let's just try putting these 8th notes a little bit back so that they're not just hitting right on beat each time. They're just going to have a little bit of like a flam feel to them. You can really hear that on the hi-hat that's layered over the kick. And so kind of the main point, I guess, is that I established the swing rules within the hi-hat pattern. Even if the hi-hat I end up taking out later and it's just muted, I'm still going to use it to reference the time of the swing, because once I start bringing in low-end sounds, melodic sounds, chord progressions, and stuff like that, they're all going to end up following whatever rules I decided on in the beginning. And so that's why I start a lot of my tracks with drums, is just to set a super solid drum swing rule that's going to trickle down into the rest of the track, like as I make it. Even if I don't start the song with drums, I just do this and then I'll move the drums out of there and I can mess with it later, but I'll memorize those swing rules so that I can use them as I build the intro, as I do everything throughout the track. So yeah, this is slightly late 8th notes and late 16th notes, and it's pretty cool groove. Hear it one more time. That's got a good feel to it, but let's get a little bit weirder, and let's say every other 16th note is going to be even later. It's going to be like a really late second 16th note, like this. Pretty much I'll always leave the snare just straight on the 2 and the 4, and the kick on at least on the 1. Not always, but usually, just so that you can kind of always find your way back to that downbeat right on tempo. And then everything else sort of leads you off track and then it comes back, and that's how you can get a good swing rhythm. And so with extra late second 16th notes, let's try early second 8th notes. So every other 8th note is going to now be early instead of late. We'll get this big amount of waiting time in between these two hi-hats. That'll be pretty cool. And so yeah, the only thing that has to happen now is that I have to remember that the second 8th note, or every other 8th note, is early. And so, like I said, when I start adding other stuff in, it's got to follow that rule. And if I start moving these kicks around, they also have to follow that rule. So let's just say this kick, let's put it here, right on top of this early hi-hat, and then we'll put it on top of this late 16th note as well. And let's hear that. So now this kick pattern is sort of helping to create that groove. It's helping to push that groove a little bit deeper, and that's really what you want to do. But a lot of times, like especially in the beginning when I was trying to figure out cool swings, I would do it without hi-hats at all, and I would just try and find cool places for these kicks, and it got really confusing because you're not really setting up any rules. The best part about doing it with just hi-hats and making those rules is that these are going to be on every single beat, and so you can really set up like that. Like I said, even if you mute them, you can always go back and reference where they are if it's a swing that you like, and you can go from there. But I would not try and do it with just a kick and a snare. It's always make the swing rolls with a hi-hat and then take them out if you want, or do whatever you want to do with them. But it doesn't happen anywhere but the hi-hat. So I'm going to restart really quick, and we're going to try another entire groove here. So let's put this back on the 1. Let's put this back on the 16th notes, and then I'm just going to duplicate these over. And now we're back to where we were. Oh, I'll put this kick back on the 1, or the 3, sorry. 2, 3, 4. So another really common one, I'm going to put these 8th note hi-hats a little bit late. I'm going to put the 16th note hi-hats a little bit early. You've heard this swing before. Tempo is 140 right now, and that's where this one has always been most useful to me. At a faster tempo, it gets a little bit confusing, but you can totally do whatever you want. That's all on you. So yeah, we have early 16 notes and late hi-hats. It really creates this empty space right here that you can play around with. So let's get a little bit weirder even and make every other 16th note late. So you can see it's all about just getting creative with it and then memorizing those rules of the swing. Once you do that, you bleed it into the rest of your project. You establish these swing rules that you're going to stick to, and then the whole thing will sort of move with that groove that you've created out of the hi-hats, whether you use them or not. I think that's really it. It's all about just getting creative, having fun with it, and sticking to those. And from there, you can mess around and you can get more and more extreme with this, or you can figure out what kind of swing patterns you like and recreate those across different tracks and sort of start to establish a little bit more of like a signature sound, I guess, within the swing rules. Because there's those artists like Jay Dilla, Fly Low, so on, that just have, right when you even just hear their drum swing, it's them, and it's just because they have these rules of swing that they really liked and stick to and go back to each time. And they figured that out definitely by just establishing what they like within these hi-hats and then recreating that as they go. So that's it. Hope that helps. Let me know if you got any questions, and thanks for watching.